You're listening to Life with Mary Walter.
Life with Mary Walter.
Hey, that was a little quick. Sorry. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. I'm doing great. I'm doing fantastic. And I'm going to laugh as we start off here because number one in, you know that Al and Bill have a thing going back and forth to see who gets in first.
Who's in first?
Look at Ron.
Oh. Sure. Good entrance.
Ron messing with Bill and Al, followed by Bill. And then finally Al coming in. Hello, gentlemen. I'm glad you joined us. Thank you so much. Also, if you're new to the show, welcome. Thank you. We appreciate you joining us. We did a little new branding. EB, who is amazing, and he is the father of our number one fan, Zach. He did a bunch of work over the weekend. He said, we're going to go with a new look. I wanted to do something new, especially for Life with Mary Walter, to make it stand out a little bit, because we had a fall one, then we had a summer, winter one. So you could see we're going with green because not too many people use green. Maybe there's a reason for that, but I thought, well, it'll make us different. And so we're doing a little bit some new branding. So thank you so much to EB for doing that for us. You rock. And thank you to Zach for being our number one fan. Thank you so much, Zach. So what we do here is you can, if you are watching on YouTube, it's hard on Getter. You can do it on Getter. I'll read your comments on the air because Getter does not transfer over to YouTube. The comments don't come up there. So I can't put them on the screen. That's not an ability that we have on Getter. But I will, as long as you're remaining within the topic, I'll put your comments up and I will read them out loud because people listening on the podcast who download the audio, it's probably just a goat rodeo for them with so many different comments coming in. Some of them have nothing to do with what we're talking about. And some of them are super far behind, which, sorry, you may be watching a little bit on a delay if you've chosen to tune in like 15 minutes late and you're making your comments. I'm just not going to read them in order to preserve the sanity of the people who are downloading the audio. All right. So do that.
I like ABBA.
It's the same spelled
like
forward or backwards.
Right. Like Taco Cat. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Tina. Hi, you people. Hello, Tina. Ringo's in the house. How was your weekend? Good?
My weekend was good. Yes.
Good.
Yeah, nothing super exciting, but good. I met some friends this weekend. That was nice to see friends again that I haven't seen in a while.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
So we decorated for Christmas.
Very nice. Now you two decorated, right? Because that's the story we heard fast. There's no more fun Jewish people out in the universe dying to set up your tree anymore, right?
Well, especially not after Christmas.
Right.
And they're still there. They're still there. It's just that we haven't gotten our tree up before Christmas. I can't remember the last time we had our tree up before Christmas. I just don't even remember when that was. So because with my husband working, and everybody wants to see the doctor before the end of the year because of their deductibles. So he winds up working like a crazy person. And no one in America works between Christmas and New Year's. So the two of us wind up working like idiots. So we just don't have time. It just doesn't get done. So that's what we do. We decorated for Christmas. We're having a little get together in a couple of weeks. And so we just tell everybody, we're like, okay, so we're just going to decorate the house for Christmas now. So come on, have a good time. You've been here for one of those parties.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's a good time. Yeah. Oh, yeah. 100% good time. It is the amazing part that you do it after Christmas. My parents just took their tree down, and we took a little bit of our stuff down already. We took trees still up, but yeah, we took. A
lot of people have take their stuff down. We leave it up till the 6th for the Feast of the Epiphany for the Three Kings, and then it would come down to my parents' house. But this tree will be up till Valentine's Day easily because we're going skiing, and I can't expect my house sitter to take the tree down for us. So it'll come back. It'll probably come down sometime around mid to late February.
Yeah. Perfect. That's actually perfect.
Rachel says, hi from me and my son Ashton, due May 25th. Yay. Soon to be mama. So just a programming note, just so you know, if you have not subscribed to the channel, please subscribe to the channel. Please, please, please. If you have to bribe friends and family to do it too, we're not above that. We're not going to pay the bribe, but if you can, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Please like the podcast, please like the videos, and watch old ones. Tell your friends and family, go back and watch old ones. We appreciate that. Just tonight at 9:25 Eastern, I will be on Newsmax TV on Primetime with Jen Pellegrino. Fun fact, Jen and I used to work at Fox together.
Very nice.
Yeah.
You have a thing. Yeah.
Well, it's really nice. There are so many people. I worked on Saturday. I was on Saturday Agenda. And the guy who is producing that show, he's like, Mary Walter. I'm like, yeah, who's this? He's like, it's Kevin Trent. Like, Kevin, I used to work on Strategy Room with him at Fox. So it's amazing the number of people who have gone from Fox to Newsmax.
Yeah.
And we kind of, it's like old home week. He says, this is great. He goes, it's like old home week here. I see so many people I used to work with. So I'm like, yeah, it's great.
I just ran into a guy doing a little business. I always do like my little pedal trading nonsense business. And I just ran into a guy. I was like, oh my God, I worked at OND and the Shark in 2003 or whatever. And I'm like, you knew Stu, you know, all my old friends, the radio station that I used to work at and Mary was a part of for a little while.
Yep.
And he knew a bunch of people I knew. You know, we all know the same people in the radio business. You know, it's Mayberry with $1 billion economy. You know,
but as my husband says, there's 10 people who work in radio and they just change jobs and names.
Yeah, 100%.
So, all right. So if you want to leave your comments, please do. As I said, if they are topical, I will read them on the air. We appreciate that. And don't forget, Thursday is our political podcast. Same time, you watch it the same way as you would live on Getter or YouTube. And within 24 hours, you'd like to get the audio up on Apple Podcasts and Spotify as well. Spotify podcasts as well. You just look for Mary Walter and they should pop up. The two of them should pop up. All right. So this is, since we're just talking about work, there's a company in India, in Mumbai, where all my phone calls come from. And it's called Dream 11. It's a fantasy sports platform.
Okay.
And employees there will now have to pay a fine of about $1,200 or 100,000 rupees, whichever, if they contact a colleague on their time off. So if you're off, if you have time off, you're off. Like my husband was off yesterday because he worked all weekend. He was on call. So he had Monday off in lieu of Saturday and Sunday. He gets Monday off. And I cannot tell you how much time he spent on calls with people at the hospital. I'm like, it's your day off. He's like, I know, but it's a meeting. I'm like, it's your day off. You know, it's your day off. I know, but they have questions about that. So it drives me crazy. We're on vacation. He always brings a little iPad so he can read sleep studies, or he could do this, or he could do that, you know. And granted, it's because as an employee, a hospital employee, the hospital took over their, forced them to sell their practice to them. So they were forcibly taken over by the hospital. If he doesn't work, he doesn't get paid. So he's now basically a contractor. So now he works even harder than he did before, which I didn't even think was humanly possible. But in this company, it makes it mandatory for workers to take at least 1 week off a year. So,
I like all of that. Wow.
Yep. Once a year for 1 week, you're kicked out of the system. You don't have Slack, emails, and calls because it helps you greatly to have that 1 week of uninterrupted time, and it helps the business to know whether we're dependent on anyone. So far, they say the system has proven effective. The owner of the company, who is this guy? Is this guy the owner? Who is this guy? I don't know who he is. It was a co-founder. He's 36 years old. That puts my life into perspective.
36. Wow.
He says, Dream 11 believes that this uninterrupted time allows Dreamsters, employees of Dream 11, so it's a hipster company.
Dreamsters. Nice.
I have a hard time imagining an Indian hipster.
Well, they're out there. Yeah, I'm sure.
It allows them time to relax, recharge, and come back to work ready to give their best. Other companies, Goldman Sachs, are allowing staff to take unlimited vacations. But a UK company did that last year, and they said they're going to no longer do that because it made employees feel guilty and question how many days they were really supposed to take.
Well, right.
I get it.
Thing. Yeah, where you think like, do they really mean I could take 4 months off and not care? Like, what could they possibly mean by unlimited? Reasonable unlimited? What's reasonable unlimited? 2 weeks for some, 4 weeks for another?
Yep.
And maybe it's just per person, right? Like if it seems like it's a good time, and I don't know. I agree. I would be judgmental about what's right.
I would be very nervous. I get nervous anyway, especially working in radio. If someone's filling in for you, you're like, oh God, what if they like that person better and then I lose my job? You know, there's that whole thing that happens. Even if you have a contract, you get a little.
Yeah, or they're not going to re-sign the contract. Or they're not going to do any of that kind of stuff, right? Oh yeah, I worry about stuff like even like, if anybody, I don't know. Obviously, we have Comcast here in our area, and I'm sure Xfinity is a pretty big company, so I'm sure they're everywhere. But I mean, their unlimited plan isn't unlimited. It's speed to a certain amount of gigabytes, and then they, throttle you down. So like, you still get data and you still get service, but not at what you thought you were getting. But they use the term unlimited, right? I mean,
right.
I would think unlimited time off has a, but don't do it.
It has an asterisk. It has an asterisk after it. It's 100%. Unlimited, but read the fine print.
Yeah, exactly. There's some fine print there somewhere, even if they don't say it. It's hiding somewhere, I'm sure.
100%. But so let me ask you, would you like this policy that you can take a week off? They at least 1 week a year, right? Now, when I had in my last job, I had X number of weeks, and it always grew, and that was something that I would always ask for in my contract. Was I'd rather have more days off than a pay raise. Like I would rather take the time off until I hit a certain point, and then I was like, okay, now I want a pay raise. Yeah. Right. So that's a certain point. I was like, okay, now show me the money. So that was important for me,
Yeah. But I would definitely enjoy that. And actually, when you first said this, I thought you were meant that the employees couldn't contact employees off time. And I'm like, oh, that's a weak policy. But I like that the company can't. That's much sweeter. Yeah.
Well, what they do is they disable you. You can't get into company computers. You can't see the Slack channel. You're not going to get emails. None of that stuff. You can't go in if you want to.
I feel like other countries and other places have come up with these kind of weird concepts and the way the work days could work better, except right here in America. Oh, it seems like so many companies in America are just strictly that 8-hour, take your whatever negotiated break you get. You know what I mean? Like a general thing like that. They're all very formulated that way. There's not a lot of play.
Yeah.
Some of these hipster companies, except in hipster companies.
Right. Well, you know what? There was a guy. Do you remember? It had to be about 2 years ago. There was a guy who decided that he was going to raise everybody's salary and everybody was going to make more. And he was going to do this whole fair and equitable, everything all the hipsters want to do. And he wound up going out of business.
Right.
He wound up losing the company.
Now, it doesn't work. That was bad business, too. I mean, I don't know that it's directly because he gave the people raises, but still, it happened.
Well, everybody was making what they considered a quote unquote livable wage in San Francisco, where a house that has it's a studio, basically apartment with no kitchen, you got a hot plate, a bucket for a toilet and a cot goes for 1.2 million. So he learned a very valuable lesson on that one, I think. Let's see. Al, thank you, Al. Al says you're the best. Let's see, what is this one? So now Tina makes a good point. She says, because I work with animals, I like being involved in knowing how the animals are doing. I would rather have involvement than days off. I get it.
That's funny. We were in her store today on her day off. So,
Of course, buying more of those. Might buy more of those pig things you have.
We're pretty locked up with the ones we have right now. But I would say there's times when it's like, maybe we should leave now. Kind of like, I never go to the SPCA because I always leave with the dog. So I just don't go. I just don't go.
100%. My husband's like, if you decide to just, retire, chuck it all, because he keeps telling me I should do that, but I keep telling him he should do it. So neither one of us have. Right. He goes, you could volunteer. There's a place near us in Asbury Park, New Jersey. He goes, you could go work at Catsbury Park. It's 15 minutes from me. And we've gone down there, like you pay, and it's a brilliant business model. They have a storefront. And they had like a little cafe, and then COVID, of course, drove them out of that. But so they have this other place now, and it's bigger, and you can go and you pay, I think it's like $100 for an hour, and you get to play with all the cats in this big playroom. Cool. Yeah, it's brilliant, right? It's brilliant. Cool. So people pay $100 for, I think, 2 people. So it's $50 a head to go play with the kittens for an hour, and it socializes the cats. It gets them out, So it's a brilliant business model, and it's really smart. He goes, you could volunteer there. I'm like, are you insane? Our house would look like an episode of Hoarders in about 3 months. There's no way.
Mary and her cats, just kitty.
Everywhere.
Oh yeah,
everywhere. Speaking of cats, so if we have 3 cats, and our middle cat, Oliver, the only boy, is the one who's handicapped. He was run over by a car, and thought they were going to have to amputate his back legs. And the rescue took him to Garden State Vet. And long story short, he has pins and rods and screws, and his back legs just like all artificial. It's crazy. So unfortunately, Oliver's our cat with bad teeth. Sometimes there are some cats like humans that just have bad teeth. So our very first cat had like no teeth. They just kept getting infected and had to be pulled out, and just terrible. And then the vet will always tell you, well, you can brush their teeth. I'm like,
what now?
Are you insane? Yeah. I can't get a pill down these cats' throats, and you want me to brush their teeth?
Taking your life in your own hands with that one. Yeah. I'm sorry your teeth aren't great, but I wanted to live and keep my eyeballs. Yeah.
I'd have to do it with like fire gloves on, like welder's gloves, right? And a
welding mask. Yeah, totally right. Kevlar helmet, on top of the welding mask to make sure.
So poor Oliver, so we've had his teeth cleaned, which is insanely expensive. And when we went this last time, we took him all to the vet about 2 weeks ago, just before Christmas. And poor Oliver had a really, really badly infected one of his canines, one of the, like the saber tooth ones, really badly infected. And you could see the gum was all swollen. And she's like, this needs to come out. And we're like, can't we do something to save it? And she's like, no, you don't do that with cats. It needs to come out, right? So she got, cats do fine without teeth. So anyway, and we told her, she said, if I were having any other problems, do you want me to call you? And my husband's like, no, you're going to scrub out of surgery, make a phone call to ask us if you should do this when we're going to say yes. And then you're going to have to scrub back in. So just do it. So he had 2 teeth removed, poor thing. And the last time he had this done, when he just had, I think it was just the cleaning, or he had something done last time. And last time they give him a bolus. So it's like a slow release narcotic, right? That makes them feel good.
Yeah.
Well, the last time he did it, he flipped out. He was like twerking, and we come downstairs. We're like, where's Oliver? We couldn't find him. My husband comes downstairs. We had this huge pot, like this just huge pot that had a tree in it.
Right.
He must have spent all night like digging to China in that pot. There was dirt everywhere. When my husband came downstairs, he was in the pot digging like a dog, like this. And my husband's like, "What are you doing?" And he just looked at him and kept digging. There was the plant. He destroyed the plant. He attacked it, and so we took it and we put it in the room where you spilled the wine. And that room. Yeah. That room has a glass door that goes over, a stained glass door. So he could see it from the side of that he was on. And he sat there for hours staring where the plant used to be. And then when he figured out where it was, he spent hours just staring at the plant through the door. Like,
you understood me, plant. You got me.
It was hard. He was like he was in San Francisco on a binge, right? On a bender. So
on a bender. Yeah, exactly. He was just out there onto the bridge uptown, just in a planter, digging away.
So the vet decided to medicate him this time, but be on the more conservative side, because we didn't want him to be in pain, but she wanted him to be on the more conservative side. And so he's just sitting there, and every now he's sitting right over to my right over here. Right. And he's just sitting there looking at me, and every now and then he goes,
still a little jittery, like a bad acid trip, just continually catching him once in a while. I was like, I remember.
And it's kind of unnerving because he's just looking at me, just sitting there, like looking at me. I'm like, what? What do you want me to do?
I saw things.
It's hilarious. It's so funny, but I feel bad because he wants to eat, because he didn't have breakfast, and he wants to eat, but he's always been terrible with being able to eat. I don't understand. He can't get food in his mouth. I don't know why, but he flings food all over the place. It's just all over the place. Oh, and it reminded me of Pickles, your dog Pickles, right? Like who had the tongue hanging out to one side.
He would slap some water around like it was just all over the place.
Exactly.
Water, and that flap would just be shooting the water everywhere. Yeah.
Exactly. So, but now he's even worse because he's missing a canine on one side and bottom teeth on the other side, a bottom teeth on the other side, and he's got stitches in there. And he's a little drugged up, so he was trying to eat. I took teeny, teeny, tiny little pieces of ham. I gave him juice from a can of tuna. He couldn't figure out how to drink it, so I gave. So I gave. He really liked the ham we were having for dinner. He went crazy. So like his head's going, like his little short jerky motions, like ham. So I cut it into teeny little pieces, and he licks it with his tongue and then flicks it. And it goes flying. I'm like, what are you doing? So it's going to be interesting trying to get food in him tonight.
That's funny. Yeah, that's going to be definitely fun.
Yeah. Tina says when you first got him, Shirley didn't like him. That was the old days. Actually, that was Laverne that Shirley didn't. Oh, yeah, that's right. Shirley didn't like him. She's right. Shirley doesn't like anybody, though, so there's kind of that. Al says roll the cat up in a towel. Well, in order to brush his teeth. Yeah, that's not happening now.
Oh, I got you. You mean?
Yeah, to papoose him in a towel. I don't want it to be traumatic for him. Right. I don't want that either. I know Ron has a couple of cats, and he says Matt the cat lost both of his canines. No idea how. No problems catching mice and stuff. And I've got a cat that can't drink tuna juice out of a bowl. So,
catching mice is probably not on the meal.
Exactly. He says poor Oliver. Yeah. So poor Oliver, poor thing. But at least he's not as crazed as he was last time because he didn't get as much of drugs. So, but we did get antibiotics that we have to shove down the gullet. And I said to my husband, I'm like, well, why did you get the pill? Why didn't you get liquid? He's like, well, they didn't offer me liquid. I'm like, did you ask? No. And there you are. So now he's going to hold Oliver, as much as he can. We'll probably have to papoose him. And I'm going to have to, pry his jaws open and stick my finger in there and shove it down his throat in order to get the pill in.
There's not, look, you are very wise with money. But I can just tell you there's some things in the universe I will pay any amount of money not to have to do. And sticking my finger in the mouth of a cat is clearly one of them. I was shaking when you told me about the story. I'm like, no way. I'm putting my hand in the mouth of a cat, not without pliers or something.
Well, no, I mean,
he clamped the mouth open or something.
No, if I play with the vet goes like this with one hand, she goes chunk, and she just pries it open like right here. And he pries his jaw, and she goes because he can't close it as long as she's holding it. She shoves it in, and then she holds the snout shut, just like a dog. And he goes, and down it goes. So she's like, "Oh, it's super easy. Watch." And I was like, "Oh, all right." So we'll see what happens.
Yeah,
maybe I would say we'd videotape it, but I can't do all of that at the same time. Tina, can he eat cat pill pockets? So here's the thing. I don't know if he can because of the surgery, but my cats will not even eat pill pockets without pills in them because they know the taste means they're getting a medicine. I've tried giving it to them as like a treat, like, oh, here's a treat, giving it to them as a treat. They are dead on to me with that. They will not eat pill pockets at all now because they know. Yep.
I'm just shocked that Oliver and I are the exact opposite at the dentist. Because when I go to the dentist, when I go to the dentist, I beg the dentist just let me have the nozzle on the laughing gas. Like, can I just control this? Because you're not going to give me enough. Just let it go. Just keep it up.
Such a baby. You are such a baby.
Keep that laughing gas going. I'm good.
You're such a baby. All right. So moving on. Have you watched any? Okay, so I like the Royals. I'm a fan of the Royals. Like I just enjoy watching because we don't have it, and I like the history behind it. And I watched The Crown, and I watched the show The Royals that was on Showtime a while ago with Elizabeth Hurley. I watched all that stuff. But Prince Harry, I refuse to watch his and Meghan Markle's special on Netflix because I will not give them the money. I'm sure they get a deal, like a percentage of each X number of views. I refuse to give them money. I cannot stand the two of them at all, especially her. Don't like her. And I know it's because I'm racist. I know. Just spare me the crying, Meghan. It's because I'm racist. I gotcha. I am so sick and tired of the two of them whining and blaming everything on everybody else. And they're the biggest victims in the world. Just shut up. You brought this on. They brought it on themselves. 100%, right?
If they had just wanted to leave and not ran their mouths, none of this would be a problem. But it's the fact that especially her just runs her mouth nonstop. Look, it wasn't for you. And you know what? Your husband decided, maybe it's best for us to go do something else. I'm okay with that. That's fine. Great. But like you say, it's the running of the mouth. It's just like, it's bad drama.
It's terrible. She's so dumb. She's so dumb. Right. Yeah. Because they could have had the money and they just could have stepped away. But notice they didn't give their titles back. Notice they're hanging on to those titles.
Yeah.
Like this, like on the edge of a cliff, they want those titles.
That's how they bring that money in.
And I understand, listen, as an American, I get that it's hard coming into the royal family. I think that's hard for anybody. It was hard for Diana. And, she came from, her father was an earl, So I get it. It's very weird. It's not a normal family. You have to curtsy to your grandmother. That's weird. Sorry. Yeah. As an American, I look at that and go, okay, that's weird. But you don't write it in a tell-all. Right? Like, you just don't do those things because apparently Harry wants to get back to have a relationship with his father and his brother. And I'm like, dude, you're doing everything you possibly can to make sure that they never speak to you again. Like, I really want to see, I'm sorry, Harry and Meghan living in a tent on a street, in San Diego.
Right.
Not the kids. I feel for the kids.
Yeah. I think there's only two things going on here. She's either, they really are in love.
Oh, I think so.
Right. Or she's outstanding in bed and the most insane human in the world. I had friends that kept a relationship together because that's all they did was fight and have sex. Well, that's not the words we used, but I mean, they were F and F, They're F and F. That's it. And I'm not even joking. Like, it was all drama for them. Their whole lives was about drama and then going home to their bedroom. Like, it was bad, but they loved it for whatever reason. But I don't know. Or they're just really, really in love.
I think Harry is head over heels. I don't know about her, but I think he is head over heels in love. James A says Prince Harry and Meghan need counseling and they need to know when to shut up. Amen.
Ding, ding.
Yes. Yeah. So I watched it. So they had, he did an interview with Anderson Cooper last night, and he also did one on ITV, British TV, for a special called Harry, the Interview with a guy named Tom Bradbury. So I'm not through the Anderson Cooper one yet. I'm not through it because I can't just keep watching. Go, dude, you screwed this up so royally. No pun intended.
Did I just?
All you had to do is keep your mouth shut. Like James said, all you had to do was keep your mouth shut. Scott is with us now on Getter. Remember Scott of the breakup, Scott? So if you're new to the show, in episodes past of Life with Mary Walter, just before the holidays, Scott had broken up with a girlfriend and then regretted it. And he was going to meet with her. So who knows? Maybe he'll tell us what happened. So, okay. Here's what we found out. So one of the things that I got this far into the Anderson Cooper special last night, was that he had a strained relationship with William, right? And he says he's trying to tell everybody it's not because of Meghan, because when they went to school, like when he was at the same time in school, that his brother wanted him to pretend like he didn't know him. He said, so Anderson Cooper said, your brother told you from his book, Spare, pretend we don't know each other. Harry said, yeah, and at the time it hurt. I couldn't make sense of it. I was like, what do you mean? We're now at the same school. I haven't seen you for ages. Now we get to hang out together. He's like, no. When we're at school, we don't know each other. And I took that personally. But yes, you're absolutely right. You hit the nail on the head. We had a very similar traumatic experience, and then we dealt with it two very different ways. But he goes and he tells everybody that it's not because of Meghan. It's William never wanted anything to do with me. Well, you were children, right? I mean, I don't think it's unusual for older siblings to tell their younger siblings to go away, right? I don't want to play with you. Go away, right? That's normal, isn't it?
When I was 6, he wronged me, and I'm going to make that the thing for the rest of my life. He wronged me in grade school, and now I don't know what to do. Yeah. Okay.
Bill says if everyone didn't pay attention to the royal family, we would never hear about them again. They love attention. I think Harry and Meghan love attention. I don't think Kate and William are the attention whores that Harry and Meghan are. I think the royal family likes attention, but at a distance, and they like to control it, as doesn't everybody.
Right.
So there's that. Yeah.
People at heart.
So Scott says, hi, waiting still, got to get into the gym soon. I'm not quite sure what that means. So if you're trying to tell us something, Scott, get into it. Okay. He did say, and he also said that he had asked his chauffeur to drive him through the tunnel in Paris at the same speed that his mother's car was driving. He was 12 when he lost his mom, and he needed therapy. I mean, making him walk behind that casket, the two boys, I thought was awful. I thought it was terrible. I was like, what the holy heck are they doing here? This is awful. And he also talked about, greeting the crowds and shaking hands and everything. And he just thought it was just so, why am I doing this? And he didn't cry. Said he, hadn't cried at all. And like having to take flowers from them and put it on, the pile by Buckingham Palace, and how he goes, it was like I was a conduit. And I'm like, no, they weren't allowed to get closer to the palace. So they just kind of gave it to you as like, here, this is for you. We feel bad that you lost your mom. Yeah. And then you placed it there. So,
I mean, I get being traumatized by that, but that's
100%.
All kind of therapists and money and
yeah. But that's not the royal way. I don't think the royals run to therapists.
No, maybe that's true. Maybe they're stoic Brits who don't bother doing
Keep a stiff upper lip.
Keep a stiff upper lip.
Right. Yeah.
Which is the whole reason Prince Charles was what happened with his whole thing, right? Like he loved Carmela, but he had to have that stiff upper lip and marry this other younger girl. And
yeah. And I believe it's Camilla.
Yeah.
Sure. Not Carmela.
Oh, not Camilla.
You kind of mix like the vice president with the queen consort. Yeah. Not with Carmela. Okay, so we got an update on Scott. So if you've been following the show, Scott broke up with her just before the holidays, and he was going to get back in touch with her, and he raised $250, remember, for a church charity. He said he's going to give it some time before contacting her. He's still waiting to contact her, so he hasn't done it yet. So do it in your own time, dude. Own time.
Exactly.
Okay. So one of the other things is that so besides driving through the tunnel to try to do, in his 20s he requested that the classified government files relating to his mother's death, and he had his private secretary do that, and it contained photos of her in the moments following the crash. But his secretary, he said, removed the most graphic content. And he said for that, he is forever grateful. He said, all I saw was the back of my mom's head slumped on the back seat. There were more gruesome photos, but I will be eternally grateful to him for denying me the ability to inflict pain on myself by seeing that, because it's the kind of stuff that sticks in your mind forever.
Yeah, absolutely.
But and then he also went on to say, because I saw some of this as well, he went on to say that, I just know now that the last thing my mother saw were the flashing bulbs of the paparazzi, that she was fleeing from, flashing in her face. And it's like, he sounds like he's torturing himself a little bit. It doesn't sound healthy. I don't think he's healed.
Well, I mean, there's nothing in the world he could have done to stop that. Like that wasn't, he was 12. Like it's something that happened to him, and that's a shame, of course, obviously, but he couldn't have stopped that.
Of course not, but it's, again, to me, it just sounds what he's 30 some odd years old now.
Yeah,
it just sounds like he's. I don't know if he's. What he said. I just. I know. I now know that the last thing my mom ever saw was this. It sounds like he hasn't dealt with it. So I don't know. He's in California. Maybe Megan will get him to a therapist. And I don't say that to be funny or mean or anything like that. I think that can help him heal a little bit, which he clearly needs. So,
yeah.
Let's see. He also said he has doubts over that inquest that they had afterwards. Remember, Dodi Fayed's father said that, the British government was somehow involved in that, and they had a whole inquest thing, and, at his urging and everything. And he said he doubts the inquest. He said he was told the events leading up to Diana's death were like a bicycle chain where removing one link would have seen a different end outcome. He said that he had doubts over the conclusions of the inquest, but didn't know what benefits reopening the case would have. So he's like, well, it's not going to change anything. What are you going to do?
Right.
So at least that's healthy. Right.
That's
acknowledging that's it. That's a healthy attitude. Listen to me. See, I feel like I know this stuff because I did therapy, right? Which I think everyone should do, because everybody's got junk, right? Everybody's got their baggage. So, sometimes it helps and unpack that baggage and go, oh, okay, this makes sense now. And it helps you to put it all together and move in the right direction. Now, you mentioned Camilla. He called her dangerous, the most dangerous member of the royal family. And I'm sitting here thinking to myself, dude, you want a relationship with your dad again? You feel like you're a victim and you've been outed by the family and the whole family is working against you. And then you call his wife the most dangerous member of the royal family. What is wrong with you?
It's
I just
not how you win friends or influence people or anything. It's certainly not going to work out for you. Even if the British public doesn't really like her or she polls bad or whatever, that's still not going to win anything with your dad, who has a proven over time that he clearly is in love with this woman and was never in love with Diana. Like, it's pretty
100%.
clear. It's not, there's no thing. I mean, he's a royal. He should understand how that works too. You know, like you figure he'd get that, but
listen, I think it's hard for anyone when, I can't imagine what his situation is like. Like his world was turned upside down. And here's his dad with the woman. I think there's probably some hard feelings towards her because they know that their dad never loved their mom really, that he really loved this other woman.
Sure.
And if so there's I think there's a lot of resentment and a lot of pain and etc., which is why I would pay to now see if Netflix ran the royals in therapy. And we got to watch that,
like The Sopranos, right? Like watching
on
the therapist while that show.
That I would watch, or like 90 Day Fiance, Happily Ever After with Andre and Lizzie's family, and how they all went at it with Chuck. That'd be great. That I would watch.
That would be great. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, we will never get to see that, but that would be awesome. Yeah.
Just very quickly with Scott's leaving. If he says time to exercise. 234 PT was in a small car accident a while ago. So I'm sorry to hear that, Scott.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. He had injured his ribs. So that's what that is about. So a little bit of ADD there. Sorry. So he's off. Sorry. We'll see you Thursday, Scott.
Hey,
thank you. All right. He said, so when he talks about her, he talks about how her public image has been transformed because remember she was like the most reviled woman in England, period.
I didn't know it was transformed. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Well, they like her now. They've accepted her as queen consort, which people thought she would never, the public would never accept her for that. Remember they said they would never accept her for that. But she, now they accept her. But Harry insists that part of her PR turnaround meant that other members of the family were thrown under the bus to achieve this, and he was one of them. Anderson Cooper said, you wrote that she started a campaign in the British press to pave the way for a marriage, and you wrote, quote, I even wanted Camilla to be happy. Maybe she'd be less dangerous if she was happy.
But why dangerous?
Well, that's exactly what Anderson Cooper said. He goes, how is she dangerous? And he said because of her need for her to rehabilitate her image. And so Cooper said that made her dangerous. Here's what Harry said. That made her dangerous because of the connections that she was forging within the British press. And there was open willingness on both sides to trade information. And with a family built on hierarchy and with her on the way to being queen consort, there was going to be people or bodies left in the street because of that. So you know what it is? He hates the press because of what they did to his mom. Get it? 100%. But yet he is married to an attention whore who craves the press. So now he wants the press, but he wants it all on his terms. And it's a double-edged sword.
You notice that they were haunted by the press and what the paparazzi were doing to them. So they moved to LA.
Right.
Because there's no paparazzi in LA. I mean, no thought that London and LA maybe even share offices and intel and stuff and pictures and people and whatever.
But here's the thing: how long can they play this game? Excuse me.
Oh, come on.
How long can they play this? Because listen, their kids do not have royal titles, and I guarantee you, when their daughter grows up, she's going to be like, "Wait, I could have been a real princess. What the hell?"
You're 100% right, because you know how important they are now. They may as well be T+8. Like, they're no more important than those people. Like, they're now just part of the reality TV nonsense, and nobody takes it seriously for anything. They're not going to be part of world power, changing lives, and she's not going to be a princess. And they're going to have these angry kids that have too much money and too little parenting skills.
Can you imagine that? Wait. So I have to go to my job every day, and my cousin's the king of England. Wait, how did this happen?
Right. Why did I have to borrow $2,000 from Uncle William? You know,
Exactly. 100%. Right?
Uncle William got me the Mercedes. You didn't buy me anything. You offered me a Ford.
Because listen, they're living in someone else's mansion, wherever the hell they're living. And they have millions. I think they saw something like $14 million, whatever they're worth.
Which
But
probably
it's nothing compared to what their cousins are going to have, right? And they would have had a lot more had they stayed in the royal family. Now, maybe they decided that it wasn't worth the trade-off, and that's fine. But just realize, to your point, that once Harry's told all his secrets, what's left? You've sold everything, every part of you that you can sell. What's left? And if his father strips him of the titles, their royal titles, what are they, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex or whatever the heck they are, if they're stripped of those titles, which seems to be the way that it's going, they're nothing. They're nobody.
They're just Harry
and
Meghan.
Husbands.
Yep.
100%. 100.
I try to see our babies on TV. Okay.
So, and Anderson Cooper asked him, why don't you renounce your titles as Duke and Duchess? Harry said, well, what difference would that make? To borrow a line from Hillary Clinton. He said, what difference would that make?
Yeah,
you know, so he didn't address it. You know,
I don't care if you make fun of me. It's a girl. He just said, we all know they want those titles.
Yep. James A says, have him visit Boston and dump him in the harbor. Ron, wow, that's totally another world I can't even relate to. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard to relate to the world, which may be why we're fascinated with it. But
of course, exactly. That's exactly why we're fascinated with it. This has been around since forever. And do you know that they're actually German? The royal family's German. Really? They changed their name to Windsor during, I think, World War I because they had a German surname.
Oh, right. Because and also, what's his name in England was related, or what's his name in Germany was related to the guy in Russia. Oh, yeah, they're all kind of connections. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it's all very incestuous.
Yeah. Incestuous. Europe was very incestuous. The kings and the queens.
Right. They were marrying off from Spain, Italy, Austria, you know, Hohenschwangau, and, you know, all these other places, the Habsburgs and all that other stuff. Mm-hmm. And as their kingdoms got consolidated, there became fewer and fewer of them. But Alexander the Great's wife was English, British.
Oh, I didn't know. Yeah,
one of those. But that's what they did. They married off cousins, which is why the Habsburgs, if you ever saw pictures, the Habsburgs were so inbred. They had these huge chins, like they had these huge. That's why they had a lot of problems. A lot of them, genetic deformities, because they were so inbred.
Remember,
so what happens when you marry your first cousin?
Remember, my sister's not good enough for me. She's not good enough for you.
Okay, so Scott says they said that the dad would be dead too soon, so he should let go and let his son go ahead and be the king, meaning Charles should never become king. He should have allowed William. But if he lives as long as his mother, even his father, he's still got, 15, 20 years on the throne.
Yeah, I was going to say 20 years, yeah.
Right? So
and even that, it's just how it works. I mean, I don't think any of them are like trying to, it's not Game of Thrones. I don't think they're all like biting for power at this point. I think it's just you just move up into the next thing. I mean, there's no big differences here. It's just what your job title makes you do.
Right. Exactly. Just one quick thing here. I'm just going to go off on a little bit of a tangent here, and I apologize for this. Scott said, I've been enjoying hearing Mary's financial advice commercials on the AM radio at times, which is interesting because I don't voice financial advice. So there's that. I did voice a spot to run on CBS News Radio, but it stopped running. It ran for 7 weeks. Last year. So at the end of last year. So if it's still running, let me know because they have to pay me. So thank you.
Maybe somebody did what I used to do when I was on the Ryan Seacrest show, and they just grabbed a bunch of your word bites and they just chopped them into financial commercials.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, and it was for AMAC. It's for AMAC, the American mature American citizens. It's a competitor to what's the thing you get when you get old and they have you join AARP. But except AARP donates to all these, dopey liberal groups, and AMAC just donates to conservative groups with your money. So you should check them out.
Check them out.
Free plug for AMAC. I recorded it. I'll put it on the post. Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Or or send it to me on Facebook or whatever. That'd be great. Yeah. And tell me when you heard it last too. That would be fantastic. Okay. Now, Harry and Meghan were in the UK in September of 22 when the Queen started to get really bad. So he says that he spoke to his older brother. Here's what he said. I asked my brother, I said, what are your plans? How are you and Kate getting up there to where his grandmother was? Because he was in the UK at the time. And a couple of hours later, all of the family members that live within the Windsor and Ascot area were jumping on a plane together, a plane with 12, 14, maybe 16 seats. Anderson Cooper, you were not invited on the plane? I was not invited. Well, you know what? Look at all the crappy things you've had to say about your family. Why would they invite you, right?
Yeah. Yeah. 100%.
I don't understand.
He seems relatively either aloof or brainwashed, or both.
No, I think Meghan has made him part. I think Harry's always felt a little bit snubbed. It's hard to be the spare, right?
Sure. I get
because then every kid that William has pushes him further down the line. He's Prince Andrew at this point in the game, right?
Right.
But at the same time, he also had all the perks without the responsibilities of the job. He had a lot more freedom than his brother, and he did. He was the party boy, right? Just like Andrew was. It's the same thing. So he had a lot of perks. But I just think that so maybe he had some of a feeling of a victim, feeling slighted growing up. Always had that because he wasn't the heir apparent. He was the spare, which is a little demeaning. It's kind of, a little side thing to him. And I think he married someone who's very liberal, who thrives being a victim, right? She wears her victimhood on her sleeve. Everyone's racist because I'm half black, right? She wears that like a badge of honor. So he married someone who plays the victimhood card and has perfected it. So I think it was easy for him to slip into this role of victim, perpetual victim. I'm a victim of my father. I'm a victim of my brother. I'm a victim of this. I'm a victim of the press. I'm a victim, of the firm, on and on. And so I think, and she perpetuates it. She just, because she lives that way. It's how she lives, as a perpetual victim.
Yep. And I think, this is big with rich people. And you hit upon it a little earlier in this, one of your points. And I think I can actually quote a very smart human here, Rick James. And Rick James said, cocaine is a powerful drug. And he's right. And I think those party days also make you a little, like to my earlier point, a little delusional. I think when you're angry and you've had a little party lifestyle and you meet a party girl and then you guys start kibitzing, next thing you know, everybody's your enemy. Everybody's wronged you.
And he said he doesn't speak to William. He said, no, but I look forward to being able to find peace with us. And so he says, how long has it been since you spoke? In a while. Do you speak to your dad? We haven't spoken for a while, not recently. And then in the other interview he did for the British outlet, English outlet, the interviewer, Bradby, said, in the book, you talk about accountability. In the Oprah interview, you accused members of your family of racism. And Harry interrupts him and said, no, I didn't. The British press said that. Did Meghan ever mention that they're racist? Harry asks. And the interviewer says, she said there were troubling comments about Archie's skin color. Harry says, there was concern about his skin color. Bradby, right. Wouldn't you describe that as essentially racist? Which is exactly what they meant by telling that story. Otherwise, why tell the story?
Oh, he's just Perry dodging turning his way through that answer. That's all he did.
Harry said, he said, well, wouldn't you describe that as essentially racist? He said, I wouldn't, not having lived within that family. Meaning, oh, no, they weren't being racist. Well, then why did you let your wife even tell the dumb story to Oprah, who is another one who, is all about everything's racist?
Hey, they can't be racist. They know a black person or two, so I'm sure they're fine.
It's ridiculous.
I know.
Let's see.
Oh, God.
At a Buckingham Palace event in November, Lady Susan Hussey repeatedly asked a charity boss, Ngozi Fulani, where she was really from. And this lady, Susan Hussey, is elderly. She's an elderly courtier. And Ngozi Fulani said, I'm British. But I think what she was getting, I think it's a misunderstanding in the sense that the other woman, Lady Hussey, was probably saying, but no, like, where's your family from? Is pretty much, I think, what she was probably getting to. But of course, it's racist because a Black person couldn't possibly be from Britain. So why tell the story if you're not trying to paint them as racist? Why?
Attention.
And he says, all we've ever asked for in the last few years is some accountability. Yet they're not going to take any accountability.
They are disasters. They are absolute disasters.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Just disaster.
Yeah. James A makes a great point here. He says the most common national celebration on earth is shared by 65 countries on different days for each. Averages out to be being celebrated somewhere approximately every 6 days. What's that day? Independence from England.
Didn't I make this joke last week when the rules were brought up? Like, didn't we fight a war not to have to deal with these people? like, I mean, I get the fascination, but oh god, the fact that they're here and just annoying us.
Yeah, no.
Go back to England.
Okay. Okay. One more thing, and then we got to run because I will be on Newsmax TV at 9:45.
An hour and a half, or
9:35. I think it is. Let me check one more time. Hold on. Don't go anywhere. I'll check. I'll tell you. 9:25. 9:25 tonight on Primetime with Jen Pellegrino. So I'll be there. And then Thursday, of course, same time, we will have our political podcast with you here on YouTube and on Getter. And Apple Podcasts and Spotify, the podcast, the audio will be available for download for both shows within 24 hours of the actual podcast. All right. There is a couple in England, and they turn breast milk, placenta, and ashes into jewelry as a keepsake for parents. And their services range from $89 to $234.
Do you want some placenta milk so you can put it on your mantle?
Well, at first glance, it sounds kind of creepy.
Yep,
but
it does.
So what they do, they combine it with clear resin to make rings, necklaces, earrings, bracelets, and beads. The woman who is behind this, she's a mother of 3. She had 5 miscarriages, and she came up with the idea when her sister was looking for keepsakes to remind her of her breastfeeding. And I'm like, honey, just look at your breasts after breastfeeding. That will remind you forever that you breastfed.
Yeah. Yeah. Scars and gravity. Yeah.
Yeah. Together with her husband, Jeff, the pair spent 6 months perfecting their formula to ensure that there was no bacteria left in the milk because that could cause the resin to discolor. Okay. They launched in September of 2018. They averaged 35 orders a day. It's custom-made jewelry. Each item is custom-made for their clients and can take 4 to 8 weeks to finish. She said, it didn't click how important what I do is until I received a message from a mom who had lost her baby and had sent her last breast milk to be made into a keepsake. That's sad. Like, I guess I kind of get it. I've never been in that situation, so I don't know.
No, me either. And I guess it's no less creepy than there's a guitar player named Steve Vai, very famous guitar player. And he has a guitar called the DNA that has his blood reportedly in the paint.
Oh.
To help create the color. And I was like,
I've seen that. Yeah.
Yeah. And you're like, and other people have done that kind of thing for other things too. Yeah. And I'm like, yeah, but I guess this works for somebody. Yeah.
Customers are sent breast milk kits to collect their milk for their chosen product, and it's then processed by Anna's team into powder. This takes 2 weeks, so none of the bacteria survives. She said, then we work on creating a clear resin before adding their personalization, such as flakes, shimmers, locks of hair, dried flowers, or footprints. Depending on the product, the entire process start to finish takes between 4 to 8 weeks. They also can incorporate placenta and ashes into the jewelry on her request. She said some people like to keep Let me try that again. Some people like the keepsakes to commemorate their lost babies.
Okay. Yeah, it's hard to make fun of that, I guess. That gives you comfort.
No, I'm not, it wasn't to make fun of it at all.
No.
I saw it and I was just like, wow.
It's not me. Yeah.
Gross. Mike says, yeah, it is.
Yeah.
I guess I can't, everybody grieves differently. Like, listen, some people, is it any different than someone who has their mother's ashes in an urn on the mantle?
Yeah. Right.
Right? Is it any different than that? I know someone, this is years and years and years ago, somebody I knew in high school, who, when his grandmother died, it was his grandmother, she was cremated, and each grandkid got literally a baggie with ashes in it. They got, like, they divvied it up.
Would you like 25% of grandma? Here you go.
Family members. And I was like, get out of here. I thought he was lying. He goes, no, hold on. He ran downstairs to his car, and grandma was in the glove compartment, and he brought her. He's like, look. It's like, holy crap.
Grandma Nona, 25%. Here you go.
Exactly. So, you know, is it any different than someone who, or people who keep their pets' ashes? I know people who have their pets' ashes. So isn't that different?
I'm not going to out the person, but I do know. I'm pretty sure I'm not listening, but I won't out them anyway. I know a person and a colleague.
Okay, Ringo.
No, next colleague. Yeah, that's why I don't want to say the name. For Ringo, I would say it right away. Oh, I wouldn't think twice about out Ringo.
Okay.
An ex-colleague who had, I think it was 2 dogs in her garage in special sealed things until she was ready to do something with them. Now, how long do you think is too creepy? You can throw out a number. What's too creepy to leave your dog in a special casket?
Well, it was just in a casket in the garage. That thing had to start stinking post haste, right?
Well, I could tell you it probably was in there well past stink. Like numbers of years.
But what were they waiting to do with it?
Eventually, they got very special burials on their property.
It depends on how big the dogs were, because I would assume that a lot of people, there are a lot, and I think it's illegal in New Jersey, but I think there are a lot of animals buried in a lot of backyards in this wonderful state. I think in any state in the country, there's lots of animals buried in the backyard, right? Because the kids want to bury the goldfish and the hamster and rabbits and cats and probably even dogs. Because I can tell you, when I was a kid, we had acres of woods behind our house. We had a little pet cemetery going on back there. There was a gerbil in a shoe box. We had a burial for Jeremy. Jeremy died. We had Julie. Julie died because our dog Puddles ate her. So Julie was back there. There was a lot of family burials in the backyard.
Oh yeah, common.
So.
Littered with
Wasn't there a company that turned ashes into plants you could grow? I think he's right. I think there is a company that does that.
There's also one that does it for bodies, where they don't burn you; they just turn you into compost.
Yeah. Ron says several cats here. Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's illegal. I do. I think it's illegal to do it, but I'm willing to bet if kids ever lived in that house, they had a pet of any kind, backyard.
Yeah, totally.
Even goldfish. You don't flush them down the toilet. Although fish do pretty much get flushed down the toilet.
All the time still, I'm sure.
We had quite a few fish that made the old journey into the septic tank.
Mm-hmm. Royal flush, they call it. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it happens.
Buy scissors. Mm-hmm.
Buy scissors.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it happens. So, all right, we're out of here. We will see you on Thursday. I'll see you tonight, 9:25 on Primetime with Jen Pellegrino on Newsmax TV. I'll be wearing the same thing, and except I'll have a little lip gloss on, fix my hair a little bit, a little nicer. And on Thursday, we'll see you right here, 7:15 again for our political podcast, Mary Walter Radio. Let's see, Scott, if you can, I'll try to figure that out. But thank you so much. I appreciate the info about the spot. I do appreciate that. Let me just do this real quickly. Get rid of that there. We'll go here. And again, thank you to Evie so much for the new branding for the podcast. Really appreciate
it looks great.
That. Yeah, so thank you so much for that. James, I'll see you Thursday. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Oh, I had to take
Fuck yeah.